Well, it's lovely to hear your voice again. It's such a treat.
My voice again.
It's a bit grey
It's
today.
such a treat.
It's a bit grey.
Interestingly, I had a very beautiful start to the day. Sun, sun, sun. And then in the last half an hour, rain, rain, rain. Pishing it down, it has been.
This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing.
Do you know, I've actually got, this is a bit out of whack now and all a bit out of timing, but tomorrow, I'm doing a lot of cooking this weekend because tomorrow I'm hosting a party. And it's a party that I don't really know how to describe it, but it's kind of like a performance party, which just sounds terrible. And it's called We Move in Close Circles. It's 4 people, 3 of whom I used to teach, actually, taught on the master's program at Roehampton. And they have this work where they come in to your house and they effectively take it over and host a party. So they are the hosts. And I just become a member of people. In fact, I even have to go out, knock on the door, and they welcome me as part, like they're welcoming other guests as well. Even though I've cooked all the fucking food. And
Did you offer to cook the food, or did they force you?
Well, I mean, I guess I could have bought it.
Right, but the
part of the deal is
that
I supply some food. Yeah. And
you cater.
Exactly, and people bring drinks, and and it lasts a couple of hours, 2.5 hours. And I wish I'd said this the first episode that we've recorded today, because then it would make a lot more sense that I don't know what happened. But next week I'll be able to tell you what happened. But it was, I'm very, very curious. I mean, I'm sure it'll be just ridiculous in the best sense of the word. But it's a wee bit weird for me, because even though I'm not hosting a party, I do feel like I'm hosting a party, and I'm not a great. I find it quite stressful hosting. Speaking of anxiety, I find it a little bit stressful hosting parties. Once I get into the swing of it, I'm okay. But the thought at the beginning of people arriving, I get really very sweaty, armpity. You don't host parties, do you?
No.
I don't think of you as party hosting people.
No, we have people round. We have people. We used to. We haven't had anybody, I think, in our house since well before the pandemic.
You mean a single person?
No, I mean I don't think I've cooked for people in this house since
before the pandemic.
Since before the pandemic, yeah. I've had people over to the flat in Lisbon because often it's one of those weird things where people go on holiday and then they're in Lisbon and they go, "Oh my God, we're in Lisbon. Are you in Lisbon?" And you're like,
Sure.
"Yeah." So I've had people over in the flat there, but not here in Totnes in 5 years.
But those are different from hosting. But you would never have hosted a party, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, I think probably the biggest number of people who've been in my house in any given moment is maybe 10.
Yeah. I'm very curious. I'm very curious about this as I guess I'll call it a work of art, but also because there's something really playful, very playful about the whole thing. I'm gonna have. They're gonna be. I think they're gonna be 15 of us in total. So it's quite a lot of pizza I'm making.
Yeah. It's funny you talk about having sweaty armpits, because there's a performance company, or I'm not even sure if they still work anymore, but there was a performance company who used to be called Curious.com, and then they changed their name just to Curious because I think they realised the .com dated them. And they did a piece, I guess it would have been...
It sure did. Sorry for banging my microphone then.
They did a piece, maybe in the early 2000s. It's a long time ago. Maybe a little bit. Early 2000s, mid 2000s, called On the Scent. And similarly, they took over domestic spaces that weren't theirs and invited people in, but to kind of engage with what the smell of home was like. And so they'd take people around these homes that people lived in. And a friend of ours gave their home up, and it was a house actually that Bob had lived in for a little while when she worked in a different town to where we lived, and she would lodge there during the week. She wasn't lodging there at the time. This was a couple of years later, but it was one of those really curious things about being very familiar with the space and then it being made strange because of somebody else's narrative that they were effectively overlaying onto, because this is a piece that toured from domestic space to domestic space. So I guess you're going to have that going out, coming in, and that sense of like distancing, but also the sweatiness of hosting and cooking, and
exactly. So
place to be in.
It is. But I'm curious about also, because clearly it's a little bit. My guess is it'll be a little bit over the top, a little bit soap opera-y, and that. But at the same time, we're also having a party. I've invited people from all over the place, actually, so there will be a sense of us hanging out and being together whilst also this thing going on. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. Actually, one of the people invited is the group who are doing it. They asked me if it would be okay if I invited a producer. So there's actually a producer who I've never met, don't know from a bar of soap, and he's going to be here as well.
Oh, so you're being like a theatre angel.
I'm being a theatre angel. That's exactly what I'm being.
I love that for you.
Thank you. I've never been a theatre angel before, but I like the idea of it, and also I like pizza.
I mean, you do like pizza. Hey, how's the cholesterol?
Oh, you know what? Good question, because I'm supposed to have booked in and been to the doctor, and I haven't yet because I've just been a little bit busy. I've definitely fallen off the wagon a little bit, though. Although I'm still eating much less butter than I was. Not that I was eating great amounts anyway. Although today I'm making a cake for tomorrow for a aforementioned party, which does involve butter. I guess I could have made anyway.
Could have made an olive oil cake.
Exactly. But I didn't.
I've got a very good lemon olive oil cake recipe if you want it. Takes a lot of olive oil, though. It's like 180 mils of olive oil.
That's not... Well, I bought a huge quantity of olive oil. It cost me an arm and a leg yesterday. I got it refilled, a litre of it. Oof. It's like £16 a litre.
Yeah. So, going back to a couple of weeks ago, and udder cream, I've just remembered there might be some value in me taking a suitcase anyway, because I've got 5 litres of olive oil sitting at my mum and dad's house that I need to take back.
Oh, to bring back?
Yeah, so I've just realised, there maybe is a reason for me to have a suitcase after all.
You'd really want it to be properly sealed, wouldn't you?
Oh, could you imagine? And it's just from a local olive grove.
Yeah.
So it is just poured into probably a carrier bag.
Put about 5 bags around it and still crossing your fingers. Imagine the entire, just everything, the entire plane. Everyone's going, wow, it's quite a nice olive oil smell on the plane right now.
Yeah. Why am I craving balsamic? I don't know why.
With a little bit of salt.
Oh, that's lunch, isn't it? Actually, that is lunch. Oh, what a good idea. I've returned to my intermittent fasting regime.
Have you?
Yeah.
Is that like? Hang on. Is that one of those 3? I never can remember them. 3 days, 1 day, or something like that. 4 days, 1 day. Or...
It's 5 days, 2 days.
Sorry for missing that. So. Wow, okay. I don't think I could.
Yeah.
Oh, do you like it?
No, I hate it. But what is really, really interesting is I do it to rewire my approach to food. There was a couple of days last week, week or 2 ago, where I went to bed and I felt really full and bloaty and uncomfortable, and I woke up in the middle of the night going, I don't feel well, and realised, I'd eaten and drunk far too late. And far too much, because I'd not had chance, typical worker, I'd not had chance to eat during the day. So I did what I think the kids today are calling a snake dinner.
Snake dinner?
Yes. You know how snakes just swallow something whole? And then they just lie really still to digest it?
Yeah.
I think I'd had a snake dinner. And I think what had happened is I'd been in work 2 or 3 days on the bounce, and you know that it's quite a long commute for me, so I get home relatively late, like an early.
Do you never stay there
clock
now?
up. I stay there very rarely. I think I did stay over one night. I was invited to a conference dinner, which was odd. It's a great conference, but
that you were invited.
I hadn't gone to the conference.
Or that the dinner.
Yeah. No, a bit of everything, but it's just the fact that I was invited to the conference dinner. I was welcome to go to the conference because I work in the Research and Knowledge Exchange team, and we supported the conference. I didn't have time. I was like chairing committees and all sorts of stuff. I think I managed to stick my head around one paper for about an hour, maybe about an hour. It was lovely. Heard a couple of really cracking, I should say one session, heard a couple of cracking papers, but that was it out of a 3-day conference. But the organizer invited me to the conference dinner. I thought that's such a nice thing to do. So I went and stayed over that night.
But normally you go back. You go. That's right.
Normally,
That's
yeah.
quite
Normally
especially if
I
you're
go
going the
out.
next day. If you're doing 3 days on the trot like that, that's a lot of time on a train, isn't it? Or in the car.
Yeah, well, I do a bit of both. I do a bit of car and a bit of train. So it'll be like the first day car, second day train, third day car. So I sort of spread it out so it's not too overwhelmingly knackering. But it did mean that I was getting in after 8 o'clock each day and then having dinner after 8 o'clock. And by the time you cook, it's like getting towards 9 o'clock by the time you're eating. And I'm getting up at 5 o'clock the next morning. So
Mediterranean eating times, isn't it?
But Mediterranean eating times in not a way that is like a lovely, gentle, we're just all, it's cramming food into your mouth so you can get into the bed because you're knackered.
Yeah.
And I just felt so wretched that I thought, I just have to do something kind of radical to intervene into this. And so I've gone back to 500 calories 2 days a week.
Oh, man. And which 2 days?
You can change them, but I tend to do them I tend to either go Tuesday and Thursday or Wednesday and Friday.
Oh, so they're not
Depends where
consecutive
Bob is.
days?
No. You can't have them consecutive. You've got to have a split.
Oh, I mean,
And
it sounds like sort of a kind of torture for me. I mean, I don't overeat. I don't really overeat, but that kind of feeling. Oh.
It is a kind of torture, but it's a kind of clarity as well. But what was fascinating is I did it yesterday because I timed it this week because Bob was away in London for 3 days. And I did it on the first day that she was away because it's like brilliant, there's nobody to cook for. And I did it on the day she was coming home because she wasn't going to be getting back until well after dinner. So I thought, that's great.
Yep.
She'll have eaten. I don't need to worry about it. And this morning I took Jeff for a walk and I got about 10 minutes into the walk and I said out loud to Jeffrey, I think I'm coming down with something. I feel so weak. And he looked at me and he went,
You haven't
It's
eaten?
because you haven't had anything to eat, Lee. It's like, oh. And now the fact that I'm hallucinating a Dalmatian talking to me gives me a clear sense that, yeah, I probably need some calories.
You do that all the time, though.
Talk to Jeff?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
hallucinate.
of course I do.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think there's anything remarkable about that. I'm very curious to hear how it progresses. Certainly, there was quite a trend, wasn't there, a few years back? It seemed like everyone was succumbing to the 5-2 restricted.
And I
calorie
remember,
thing.
And I remember doing it at the time, and it was when I was also very yoga-y. So I was thin when I was doing it, and I'm not really sure why. Looking back and looking at photographs of myself, going, I'm not quite sure why I was doing that at the time. I really didn't.
That was
need to lose
middle-aged.
weight. What a
That was
strange
middle-aged
thing.
six-pack desires, basically.
Which I gently got, and then I've got a middle-aged barrel now. But
Keg. I think keg is the word they use.
Is keg smaller or bigger than a barrel?
I think a keg's smaller. Depends. Actually, it
Okay,
probably
that's-
depends on the keg.
Just checking
Little
that you
kegs.
weren't saying, no, Lee, your belly is massive, as opposed to, no, Lee, your belly's just slightly more rounder.
I
than
wasn't.
it
I
used
wasn't.
to be.
I wasn't.
And I'm not doing it to lose timber. Although I think I've told somebody that I was because it's easier, isn't it? Oh, why are you doing it? It's like, well, because it's kind of hard to explain in brief. I'm trying to re-educate my brain to not overeat, and it's not because I'm worried about being fat, but I'm worried about my gallbladder. I'm worried about, I'm being 51 in August, just going, I just want to take a little bit of control. And also the massively reduced fat diet that I went on when I had the gallbladder and high cholesterol, that that wasn't great either.
No, it's Yeah, I just tend to try and eat before 7 o'clock and stop eating. So I don't. So I have all my eating over by 7, and because I just sleep better. It's only because.
Yeah.
I know it's funny, isn't it? It's a real middle-aged thing. And not, I don't want to get off topic here and talk about midlife, but but it's can you imagine thinking about these things in your 20s, even your 30s, even your 40s a little bit, maybe your 40s you start.
I mean, famously, a long time ago in the podcast, I said that I thought I had prostate problems because I was getting up in the night to wee, and Bob pointed out that it was because I was drinking a glass and a half of water before bed. And I still get thirsty at the end of the day, and I still drink that glass of water and go, ugh, I'm going to regret this at 2 o'clock. And I used to, it never occurred to me that it would be a problem to drink a glass of water or 2 glasses of water just before going to bed. And bodies. We only have the one, so I guess you just have to ride it, don't you?
Strange things. They're really strange things. I wish I understood something about them. I'm actually, I'm on a training program for some, there's some body-based training stuff. And part of the training, we have to buy the anatomy colouring in book, which is hilarious.
Oh!
Because
I've got 2 copies.
Bought it in 1988 or something like that. So I wonder if it's, changed.
I've got 2 copies. I'm looking at them both here now.
Both coloured in, right?
One of them is coloured in, one of them is not coloured in.
Do you want to give me the non-coloured in one?
No. Might want it for colouring in sometime in the future. Also, when I say I've got 2 copies, who do you think bought them?
Yeah, right, okay. But can you tell Bob to keep an eye out for any second-hand uncoloured in versions of it?
Oh yeah, of course I can. She will find you one before the end of the day, because that's how... I think she might be a very powerful manifester.
I think I think she's more like R2-D2, and she sort of puts her sprocket in some part of the Death Star, and she can read everything there is about Death Star, but her Death Star is recycled and second-hand goods. Yeah.
Somebody at work said to me, I can't remember if Bob was there. Oh no, that's right. I've often talked about the fact that Bob is really good at charity shopping, because I came into work. I mean,
it is her superpower. It is a
superpower.
Yeah.
I came into work in a Zegna linen shirt, and somebody said, "Oh, that is a really nice shirt." I said, "Oh, cheers, it's Zegna." And they went, "Oh, what's Zegna?" I said, "About 500 quid." And they looked at me and went, "You spent £500 on a shirt?" I said, "No, I got it new, with the label still on. And I think it was £7.50 in a charity shop that Bob found." They were like, "Oh, how does she do that?" I said, "I don't know, but she's just really, really good." And then a little bit later, the same person said, "I need a really big fruit bowl." And she described the fruit bowl to me, and I came home and I said, "Bob, Katie's looking for a fruit bowl like this." And I'm not kidding, within a week, Bob came home and went, "Is this what Katie wanted?" £5, exactly what she described.
Yeah, it is...
Witchcraft. Witchcraft!
It's witchcraft. She would be burned at the stake if it were 40 years ago.
Yes.
I think we're done. I think we've done our dash here. I've got so much more content to talk about, I have to say, which is lucky.
It is lucky, because we've got quite a lot to do when we talk next on the 23rd.
Yeah, that's just that's in the evening on the 23rd, isn't it? That's just before I go away.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for accommodating an extra on today. I had completely blanked on the fact that I'd said, "Oh yeah, I'm not doing anything on Monday evening except travelling to London."
Well, have a safe trip.
I will do my very best to have a safe trip. It will, of course, be entirely in the lap of the train driver, but
the train gods,
they do a
which
good job.
I'd love. If anything, I would love Keir Starmer to fix it. Would be I'm going to stop recording.
Oh, me too.